Hey, you. You're finally awake.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Now, as you may know, being a video game collector can be a very expensive and serious business, but there are some NES games that are just absolutely ridiculous. Now I decided to have a look at price charting and see what are the most expensive sealed new NES games, and I was absolutely flabbergasted by the results of this, so I wanted to give you the top 7. Now you could cheat and just have a look at the website, that's no fun. Maybe you're here because you want to see how angry I get about it all, because it's ridiculous about some of these prices. Either way, I'm going to go from 7 to 1. And this is going to be a bit of a shortened video because sitting down isn't too comfortable at the moment. So thank you anyone who said good luck on my operation. Needless to say, me and my dog are now kindred spirits, and I understand his pain. As always, if you do think I deserve it, please hit that like and subscribe button for more content, and if you're listening to it on the mobile, hit the hype button because it helps small content creators like me. Retro Wars is also a weekly podcast where this week we are looking at Dragon Ball Z Legacy of Goku for the Game Boy Advance. And we've got a $1 a month Patreon where you can help me and my family save up for our own little house, you can get involved in the Smut Squad, the podcast, and you get your own additional show. Right, let's get into it, shall we? 7 of the most expensive sealed games for the NES. Power Blade 2 coming in at $13,200. That is insane. We're already going at number 7 at $13,000. This is US, by the way. You know, if it was Australia, double that. $13,000? Who bought a copy of that? Like, that's insane. Now, this game was released in 1992 by Taito and is a direct sequel to Power Blade, and we talked about Power Blade on the show before, but this is the second. Why not the first one? No, it's the second one. Like, visually, it's impressive for the NES in 1992, but the reason was, why is it so rare? Well, it's because copies just weren't produced in large enough numbers, and over the year, they just seem to have disappeared from private collectors. They're now seen as one of the NES's holy grails, not just because it's scarce, because it's actually a genuinely good game. Like, don't be expecting Mario or Zelda on this list at all. Like, today, even if you want a complete copy, it's going to be setting you back hundreds of dollars, if not thousands. Due to this, it makes it one of the most valuable NES games in existence, and its reputation has only grown as the retro gaming has become more popular. What's ironic is that back in 1992, no one players even knew this existed. Coming in number 6, Kid Icarus at $14,328. That's so random. Either way, this is our past sales, but yeah, we're going up a little bit. Now, Kid Icarus is an NES franchise that we all know. If you know the Super Smash Bros., how I came to know him, Kid Icarus has been around for donkeys. You control Pit, a young angelic warrior serving the goddess Polenta. Is that how you pronounce her name? Someone's going to have a go at me in the comments. Gameplay was really good. It wasn't a traditional side-scrolling platformer, there were a lot of vertical scrolling challenges, but it was a very difficult game for. It could be punishingly hard, especially in the vertical stages, where falling meant instant death, which makes no sense because he's got frickin' angel wings. Whatever, it's the game. However, because of its early release, Kid Icarus isn't particularly rare compared to other titles on this list, but complete in-box copies can still fetch a decent price because collectors value its place in Nintendo history. What makes it special isn't its scarcity, it's its legacy as an early attempt at something bigger, an NES game that dared to be just another platformer. Going up at number 5, we're going up a bit of a jump now, Little Samson at $19,223. Now, I've gone over Little Samson about a few times, 2 or 3 times over the channel, so I'm not going to go over this because we've talked about it enough. I don't want to go another repeat. Now, the reason why this is rare, again, it comes back to timing. It was in 1992 where the NES was being overlooked by the Super Nintendo and Sega Mega Drive, so retailers weren't really interested in stocking new NES titles, and players were shifting to the newer, flashier 16-bit consoles. And as a result, Little Samson had a very limited production run, and many gamers simply never knew it existed. Like, it didn't sell well not because of its quality, it's just because the market moved on, and this is why it's one of the rarest NES games today. Like, over the years, word spread among collectors about its quality, and then the demand skyrocketed. Coming in at number 4, and it's closely follows Little Samson, but I still think this is absolutely ridiculous. Flintstones, Surprise at Dinosaur Peak, at $19,843. Why? Like, I like the Flintstones, I grew up with the Flintstones. Now, this is a side-scrolling action platformer starring Fred Flintstone. Now, the story itself follows Fred and Barney as they set out to rescue Pebbles and Bam Bam, who have gone missing after an earthquake hits bedrock. Pretty sure they're probably dead. graphically, it's a good game. Like, by 1994, developers had mastered the hardware, and Taito had delivered large, colourful sprites, detailed backgrounds, and a smooth animated game. So it was a pretty good game, but again, it's 1994. It's 2 years after Little Samson, and at this time the NES was effectively dead. So why they decided to bring this out, I'll never know. But because of it being 1994, and everyone really is at that point of going to the Mega Drive and Super Nintendo, it had a very limited release, and because of that, only a small number of copies ever hit store shelves. There was a rumour going around for years that this game was only ever seen in Blockbuster as a rental-only game. However, that's not necessarily true. It's just because the game was hardly ever sold in stores, because of extremely limited print run, that most people just remember the fact that, well, yeah, I saw it in Blockbuster, it's the only place I saw it, because you never saw it on the bloody shops. Either way, it's absolutely skyrocketed over the years. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to be rushing out to go get this one, but I know some people will. And now the prices are going to be going stupid, alright? Absolutely batshit crazy. Coming in at number 3, Mega Man 1, the first print, at $41,100. $40,000 for a video game? Is it me? Am I just not with the kids? I don't understand. We all know Mega Man, this is the big one on the list, I should say, well, ones you're probably going to know. But one of the defining features of that first Mega Man is its box art, often called one of the worst covers in video game history. Like, instead of reflecting the sleek, futuristic look of the in-game character, the cover depicted a bizarre, awkward man in a yellow and blue jumpsuit, holding a pistol that barely resembled the iconic arm cannon. That bad box art is part of the charm and makes the first print instantly recognisable. So why is that first print so rare today? Again, this comes back to timing. Mega Man was released at the tail end of 1987 when the NES was just beginning to explode in popularity in North America. Early Capcom titles really didn't sell well in huge numbers, and the publisher likely underestimated how well Mega Man would perform. And because of this, the first batch was printed in very small quantities. There were later reprints with updated box art and slightly different labelling which were more common, but those original copies with the infamous cover are the ones the collectors fight over. Another factor is preservation. Unlike some NES games with massive hits, Mega Man didn't initially fly off the shelves, and many early copies were either discarded, lost, or worn down by the years of use. Complete in-box first prints are particularly scarce because most players back then didn't keep their packaging, so finding one today in good condition is like striking gold. However, that isn't the end of the story for Mega Man 1, because coming in at number 2 is Mega Man 1. The 5-screw edition, yeah, I'm saying that, 5-screw edition, at a whopping $93,656.10, because the 10 cents makes a fucking difference, clearly. Now, the reason for this is because most NES games have 3 screws in the cartridge, but some have 5. Alright? So that during the NES's early years, 5 screws were the standard. So for example, they were present in all the NES black box games. But in 1987, Nintendo transitioned into a 3-screw cartridge to cut costs. As such, games within that 1987 time window have both 3 and 5-screw versions. You want the 5-screw carts because they're immensely rarer. And Mega Man 1 released in December of 1987, and somehow a few cartridges were still produced with 5 screws, making it the second rarest game on the console. So not only have you got the first print, but within those first prints, you've got to get the ones that have 5 screws. Like, what are the chances of you getting that? But even though, with that, it is still not top dog on this list. No, 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 no. Not even close. The top dog... Oh god, this is just insane. The top dog is Family Fun Fitness Stadium events, alright? And a ridiculous $158,402. This is insane. What the fuckity fuck? Like, this is an athletics game. It's a straightforward sports competition. There's nothing good about it. Bandai haven't made this the greatest game of all time. It's just a bog standard athletics game. Okay? It's insane. The reason why this is so expensive is probably not for what you think. So this game came out in 1987 by Bandai, and it was meant to work with the Family Fun Fitness Pad. Now this is basically a gimmick that you can basically run in place to control the characters on screen, okay? Now Bandai did initially distribute the game in North America in limited quantities, making it available through select retailers. But before it could gain any traction, Nintendo purchased the rights to that Family Fun Fitness mat and rebranded it as the Power Pad. Now, along with this move, Nintendo pulled stadium events from shelves almost immediately and re-released the exact same game under the new name World Class Track Meet. This sudden corporate shift meant that only a handful of the copies of the original Bandai release ever made it into circulation. And because of this, Stadium Events is actually considered one of the rarest official licensed NES games just generally. Collectors estimate that perhaps only a couple of hundred authentic copies of the North American version actually exist. The game's rarity did become well known in the 2000s when copies began surfacing in auctions and selling for staggering amounts of money. Stories of people finding the cartridge in thrift stores, flea markets, or even their own attics made headlines, fueling its reputation as the holy grail of NES collecting. Prices skyrocketed, with loose cartridges fetching thousands of dollars and complete copies selling for tens of thousands. And there we go, a brand new copy in sealed packaging, $158,000, all because of a Nintendo licensing issue. Insane. It's not even a good game. My word. I'll be honest, if anyone's got a copy of that, I'll give you my bank details and we can have a bit of a chat, shall we? So that's it. The 7 most expensive sealed NES games ever released. Did you expect any of these on this list? Let me know in the comments below, and if you have one of these, I'll become your best friend. Until then, if you do like this video, please hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in 3 days for another video. My name's been Danny, my balls hurt, chase your dreams.